the best of the week on Relevant Radio.
And welcome back to Marriage Unhindered. I'm your host, Doug Hinder, licensed marriage and family therapist. If you'd like to give us a call and talk to Michael, you can do that, 888-914-9149. Having a wonderful conversation about his wife, Ruth, and who seems to have very definitively responded to Vatican II's call for sanctity in the middle of the world, that we're all called to be saints. And she applied that, I think, to her life and to what she did, to her marriage, to her role as a mother, and a lot of activity in the right to life area and politically as well. Led a very full, albeit short life, died at the age of 41. And but now the Vatican has said, let's take a look at her and see if we can put her on the path to becoming a saint in the church. So, Michael, welcome back. So can we, and I there's so much to talk about. I'd love it.
Yeah, I know there really is. Can I say something about suffering? Because look, there's no path to sanctity without suffering. And, she had a lot of suffering. You might say, well, how can you a Harvard student from New Jersey, but, we had 6 living children and raised them on a philosopher's salary. And that's very, very difficult. Typically just one car is all we ever had. And often it was broken down. People know what I'm talking about, but we qualified for food stamps during all those years. And that's tough, a thrifty household with a lot of austerity and a lot of little kids. And a lot of times it's in isolation because there's not a big support network. If you're at Cambridge, Massachusetts, and you've got 4 kids, and then of course when you're cancer, she suffered from cancer and cancer treatment for 7 years, but then kind of on top of this, it's like you might say, well, like this is self-inflicted, but I have a spreadsheet because when I wrote the book about her, I kind of tried to do the work of an historian, which says what she was doing every single day of her life as far as I can identify. And in the last year of her life, you could not believe how 2-3 times a week in the evening she'd go to a high school and give a talk, or she'd go to a parish. And it's not, well, I have cancer and I think I'm just going to relax now.
Yeah.
Because it was like, it's like burning with zeal to do as much good work as she could for the unborn while she had strength. And this goes on until like just 2 weeks before she dies. And you read the story in the Register article. I mean, she's climbing Mount Washington a couple of weeks before she does. I mean, it's just like crazy.
With a metal rod in her leg, right?
Because it's crazy stuff. Yeah. It's really unbelievable stuff.
Yeah.
And, people would find out, well, she's on the brink of death, and they just couldn't believe it.
Yeah. And I think, and what an inspiration, right? This idea that I've only got and we all have just a short amount of time, right? For some people, it's 41 years. Some people, it's 82 years, but still.
That's right.
And it's this idea that whatever time I've got to actually give a return on that investment, right? And
okay, so let's get into a marriage question, right? So you were asking about marriage, and if you're married to a saint, you have a perfect marriage. Well, I can tell you, I was not a saint. So one constant argument we had, I'll tell you 2 constant arguments. One had to do with scheduling, because I was very busy at work and writing books and publish a parish, right? But when we got together, she wanted to make a schedule, and I hated scheduling. When I was not at work, I just wanted control over my time. I didn't want to schedule anything. Of course, a mom has no control over time, so she desperately wants to schedule with her husband. And I would totally lose my patience. And then I said, why? What is this obsession with scheduling? And she'd say, if you do not schedule, then you cannot use your time well to accomplish the most good. And of course that's true, right? So I was kind of childish about that. Then another basis of argument was just seeing friends, because like a lot of men, they work hard and they feel like they're getting beat up at work, and then when they're home, they just want to kind of, be in a kind of a cave, so to speak.
Yeah.
But that's no way to live as a Christian, and it's not apostolic.
Yeah.
So she'd have these ideas of, let's see this person, go to this party, let's form this reading group, or let's go see these people. And at one time, with my spiritual director, we decided, look, you're just going to have to agree to whatever she says. So she says, let's do this. Because I had no disposition for it, frankly. So whatever she just suggested, I would do. And then another thing, this is a real risk. And I think we fell into this trap that you think, and especially if you don't have any money, we had no disposable income whatsoever. If you, we just did not go out on dates. We didn't. We couldn't afford it. We did not go on marriage retreats, which is a good thing to do if you can get away for a weekend and just kind of be together and discuss your marriage. And we risked going off, and we did. We went, and this is only, I would say, healed the summer before she died. We kind of went off on separate tracks. I was doing my scholarly thing, whatever, writing books and going to Oxford, and she was doing her pro-life work. And we really risked kind of veering on separate tracks. We'd come together in the evening. But there was not enough unity of purpose and work. I didn't know what she was up to when she was shopping. She didn't know that much what I was up to. So that we repaired, though, in the summer before she died.
So, I guess it's comforting that the marriage was like all marriages, and there's this constant tug of war going on between husband and wife, between my vision and your vision, between your life and my life, and the fact that temperamentally you were different, and you were more scholarly, more, when I get home, I kind of like this time to myself, a little more, and she was much more social, going out there, let's conquer the world, and you were a little more introverted, yes?
That's absolutely correct.
And still it worked.
By the way, emotionally, I look to other people like a Mr. Spock kind of character who's just pure logic, but I'm a very emotional person, actually.
Interesting.
And she was very even-keeled and cheerful, and she loved the British keep stiff upper lip and keep calm and carry on. She loved all of that, right? And she was like that.
Yeah.
It kind of felt that, the men were melting down around her all the time, and she had to kind of remain calm and unflappable.
Well, I laugh because it reminds me a lot of my marriage. I mean, I tend to be a lot more emotional than my wife. She's the solid rock, and I'm the one that's just kind of falling apart at the seams. And,
exactly.
But it worked. It's a
distinct. Go ahead. I want to say distinctive mark of our marriage. You have two. Look, I'm very bright, and so is she, and two very Harvard-educated people, and we kind of liked to spar. Mm-hmm. And it would sometimes shock people who were with us because we would be very, very sharp in arguments back and forth. And it was not fighting. We actually enjoyed this way people might enjoy fencing with each other, for example. Like if you didn't know fencing, you might think they were actually fighting with swords with each other, right? So, So it was not. So there was a certain kind of intellectual turbulence always in our relationship because we would be very quick if we thought the other person was saying something stupid or not holding a good position. Yeah, it was very, very contentious in that logical way, though.
But also in a would you say in a respectful way?
Of course,
in a loving way.
Right. So this test that people do, do you ever show contempt towards yours? Never. There's never any contempt. In either direction.
Some good jousting, but but with the best of intentions
and strong jousting, definitely.
Yeah, but not to defeat the opponent, but to engage in the competition, right?
But I will tell you something though. Once her brother said to me, and he's kind of disturbed when I was kind of being very, very, I'm maybe a little bit harsh on some positions he was maintaining, and kind of calling me out on that. I said to him, Henry, if you had a tiger in your household, don't you think you have to kind of put it into some kind of cage? Because that's how I viewed her. It's like I'm married to like this force of nature. I have to kind of somehow put it in constraints in some way.
I love that. And can we talk about that for a little bit, Thomas? He was just, a month old, a few weeks old when he died?
Yeah, September 21st he was born, and November 13th coming up is when he passed away.
Okay.
Yes.
And, I know a lot of people have suffered the loss of a child who listened to our shows, listened to the radio station. How did she handle that? What was her perspective on it, and how did she grieve that loss? What did she do?
Well, I think dignified would be the right word. She came back from some kind of pro-life event and went to bed and believed the baby was sleeping. And then she woke up in the middle of the night and her breasts were full. And she thought it was strange that he hadn't woken to want to feed. Mm-hmm. So she came downstairs and found that he actually was dead in her crib, in his crib. And so what she did, and he had already undergone rigor mortis, and his arms were out straight. It's like a little cross, actually. Oh my! And so she picked him up, put him in the middle of the living room, and then called the priest, of course, and of course the police. The police come rushing in, the firemen, and what can we do? There's nothing we can do here. And then the priest came, and he marveled out loud. He said, "What does this mean that the kind of the leader of the pro-life movement's child dies?" It struck him as a contradiction or a paradox. And so Ruth insisted that we all say the rosary. So here's little Thomas in the center of the living room floor, and the priest and our family. And of course, the kids wake up in the middle of the night. How can your brother die in bed in the middle of the night? It's just completely shocking for them. Yeah. And so we said the rosary, and this was, we were recent enough converts that the rosary wasn't necessarily the first prayer that we'd go to. It takes a while to become deeply Marian, it seems to me, if you convert from Protestantism. And so that kind of, wow, interesting, say the rosary, but it was her instinct. She was more Marian at that point than I was.
She's a woman. She's a mother, right?
Right, yeah, of course, yeah. Yeah, the hard-headed philosopher man is going to take a long time. But, so, and then I just think a lot of silent suffering, because, I think, again, she carried herself in a very dignified way. I think of like Mary in movies, the way Mary's portrayed in movies. And she would... once her friend Grace asked her, because Grace lost a 4-year-old child, does the pain ever go away? And she said the pain is always there, but it heals like a wound, and it takes time. Yeah. And she said it's good to have some daily devotion that you pray in order to keep you spiritually related to your child. And for Ruth, it was always kissing the scapular when she put it on or took it off. That's when she would, in particular, pray to Thomas.
Yeah.
So,
and I think, we've lost 3 children before they were born, none after.
Yes.
And I think, and the way I've thought about it, and the way I've encouraged other people who have thought about these things or have experienced the death of a child is, my goal, I've got 9 children. My goal for all 9 of those is to get to heaven, right? And now some of them maybe get to heaven in a week or two, like your son Thomas. Some of them might take 90 or 95 years to get there. But ultimately, that's what I want. And so you've got Thomas in heaven, guaranteed. And that's a good thing, right?
But this is very distinctive and very revealing of her character, because her friends, when they said something like that, Ruth replied, "But he has been deprived of the joys of growing up as a boy."
That's true.
And I thought that was just beautiful. Like she loved boyhood so much that, yes, of course, we're all going to heaven, but here's this great thing that God created, being a boy.
Yeah. Well, and we can't understand God's will, right? It's this detachment of what we want to accept what God's will is, and because He's a little bit smarter than we are, and kind of gets it figured out.